So I want to talk about the considerations for creative nonfiction writing. And you're going to be very familiar with some of these, of course. You've probably written some creative nonfiction, even if you might not have called it that earlier on in your lives. But I want to just cement and solidify these ideas about what creative nonfiction is and what it is not. So, what is it? The genre does draw on both journalism and nonfiction, as we've talked about, borrows elements from both, but unlike fiction, you do have to hew to that truth. So you really have to stick with facts as much as possible. Obviously, your memory, like everybody's memory, and it's scientifically proven, our memories do not retain snapshots, perfect snapshots of our past. They are colored by our perspectives. But that's kind of what we're using here is our perspective. So as much as possible, you want to record the facts as you remember them. And partly this is where some research comes in order to get those facts as straight as possible. But what you want to not do is manipulate facts so that the story reads better, or so that you can, to manipulate facts in favor of structure. So as much as possible, stick with the truth. All right, so the personal essay is one of the most popular genres, and we're going to be covering three in this course: the personal essay, the memoir, and then the literary profile. And I just want to touch on all three again. So the personal essay is based on personal experience that highlights a lesson or a new understanding for its author. So you're not digging into a memory the way that memoir does, but you're really, taking an anecdote or two or three and trying to illustrate a concept or an understanding. The personal essay, unlike what the name implies, goes beyond the personal. So you're selecting anecdotes from the personal, but it's really in order to highlight some more universal concept. Otherwise, if it doesn't touch the reader, or the reader cannot relate to it at all, then it's not going to resonate with that reader, and it will become more of just a journal entry than an essay. So the difference really between the memoir and the personal essay, generally memoirs are longer. They're usually book length, usually written by famous people, which is part of the appeal of them, but not always. Sometimes a person has just had an extraordinary experience and so writes a memoir for that reason. But memoirs can be short, and in fact in this class we're going to be writing a much shorter type of memoir, and they are more focused on the past episodes of the writer's life and how those episodes shaped that person, whereas the personal essay is more focused on highlighting that concept or universal theme or thread that runs through one or more anecdotes in order to sort of elucidate some more general principle. Okay, but what about the literary profile? So the literary profile is different from both of those, and pretty distinctly so. So in the literary profile, and this is our final creative nonfiction piece you're going to be writing, and that is you will be interviewing somebody for this, and the burden of writing a literary profile, I guess the burden, but also the joy, is to both bring that person to life as well as to give a sense of where you stand on the events that you're recounting. So it is important to give us a sense of who this I is that is writing, and unlike in a more formal essay where we might not have a good sense of who the writer is behind that essay, here we do. We get a little bit more flavor and voice from the writer. Not that the writer is going to be digging into his or her own life, but in relating these events about another person, we're also getting the relationship the writer has with that person, and some sense of who the writer is, him or herself. So the I is definitely very important, and up front the writer is establishing voice and stance, and also giving a sense of who this person is and what his or her environment is and what makes that person tick. All right, the role of research is really crucial in creative nonfiction, and I think that's one of the things that tends to be overlooked. when writers first start writing creative nonfiction, because you think, oh no, it's just about my life. But actually, it's true in fiction also that research adds not only that undercurrent of authority that's so important, but it also will refresh your knowledge of the context. So even if you're going back into your own life and you're going back to a place that that you grew up, and you'll get more insight, and you'll remember things that perhaps your memory has glossed over. So that is considered research. It's not just going to the library and looking at books the way you do in more academic research. For creative nonfiction, your research entails going back into your own life and really understanding who were the people in your life, where were the places, what are the perspectives of other people on maybe incidents that you remember and that were crucial to you. How did other people view them? And now that you're older and wiser, research facts that may have eluded you earlier on. Like maybe you thought that something was one way because you really didn't understand how it worked, right? And then you go to research and you understand, oh no, that was there for this reason or that reason, or you were told one thing and you research and you find it's completely different. So definitely research for all of what you're doing. You have different types of research, and we will certainly continue to talk about that. But research plays a role in all kinds of writing, and creative nonfiction included. Okay. So I'm going to end on this note, and that is to use your notebook. Really use your notebook. Bring it everywhere you go. Write down little bits and pieces as you're reading, as you're exploring, as things come to you at night. Generally in these classes, that's what starts to happen. As you start to focus on your past, little moments are going to come to you that you probably have forgotten about, and that end up being really important and crucial to remember and to weave into your writing. So that notebook is really going to be an important tool for you. All right, happy writing.